Our guy Baldy joins us. What's going on, Baldy?
Guys, it's good to be with you. It's good to be an Arizona Cardinal fan, supporter, analyst, anything part of that organization right now.
It's good to be in first place. 6-4, entering the bye week. Best case scenario probably that we thought was realistic. Yet when you watch the tape, and I know you watch it better than anybody, the breakdown, the beatdown of these last two games, Chicago and then the Jets, it's like more of the same. It was very humbling to watch as a Cardinal fan, knowing how far this organization has come. But specifically, like, what impressed you the most with that Jets game that was very non-competitive at times?
Well, just how dominant they were from the opening drive of the game. The Jets acted like they'd never seen a quarterback keeper from Kyler, which, is disappointing if you're a Jet fan. But no, just the way that they took him apart. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is throwing the ball to Davante Adams. Like, they have a legendary history together. They look like they had never played together before. They couldn't get an explosive play against him. The offense is clicking. They're flat out running the ball every week right now. Now you're seeing Trey Benson get into it. Kyler is doing a great job of getting the ball around. I think we all understand that Trey McBride is an elite player. And he has to, you've got to figure out ways to contain it. I mean, you just feel what Gannon has done to create this complete team vibe in the organization right now, how they pull for each other and how well they looked and how well coached they look. But I guess that was the biggest contrast, how poorly coached the Jets looked and how well coached the Arizona Cardinals look.
Yeah, Gannon says a connected team, right? It feels like from top to bottom, all 53, no doubt about it. We've seen the Cardinals win several different ways this season. They've, won by the skin in their teeth for a couple of games, some walk-off wins, and then they get the dominating ones this previous week. When you look at this team overall, though, like them taking, like, we're never going to turn our nose up on W's. We've seen far too few of them in the desert, but was it them taking advantage of a pair of bad teams the last 2 weeks against Chicago and New York, or do you see the Cardinals as a very viable team in the NFC now?
Well, I just saw the 49ers again last week, and they can, obviously they went to San Francisco and won. We just saw the Rams get beat and not score a touchdown, Monday night against Miami. I mean, they're as good as any team in their division right now. And to put the 49ers above them simply because of the 49ers, and they were in a Super Bowl a year ago, you can't do that. Every year is a new year. They've just won 3 in a row, and they get a week off before they get a division game against Seattle. I believe that this is a team that's going to compete every week and play good football. And we're just we've talked about this in prior shows, but, Marvin obviously, gets a big play. But, I mean, we haven't seen the best of Marvin Harrison yet. And I just feel like he could be one of these second half. Like, for example, last year, the Rams got an unbelievable second half from Kyron Williams. It fueled them into the playoffs. I believe, look, Marvin's got 6 touchdown catches. It's not like he's not contributing. But I believe he could be a dominant player still. And if you get him involved with McBride and you look at the running game and you look at the way Kyler's taking care of the football, I mean, Marvin could be one of those jumping off points that can actually take this team to another level. Because if you can get just the way the Rams saw Puka Nacua last year, you see these teams lean on the receivers, red zone, third downs, big plays, comebacks. I mean, it'd be good to get Marvin really going. And if that's the case, they might be very difficult to slow down.
Baldy, we kicked off the show with a potential new report that standout All-Pro safety Budda Baker may reach a deal with the Cardinals before he hits free agency. Now, he's 29 years old to be, but he's in a career renaissance this year. He already has 100 tackles. Like, I know your opinion on this, but just what makes him so special for this team, and can they afford to let him leave?
No, they can't afford to let him leave. Safeties are hard to find. They really are. I mean, you have to go to the free agent market to get safeties. You don't draft them. Every once in a while, you find Brian Branch, Detroit, every once in a while. But by and large, the safety position is one that you got to go to the secondary market to get. And if Budda hits the market, he'll set he doesn't have the takeaways that you want, that other safeties might have, like, when Jesse Bates was available. But Cincinnati's never recovered from losing Jesse Bates. But, Budda Baker right now is the heartbeat of the defense. He shows up every week. Nobody plays harder. Nobody is first. Like, you talk about, first to contact. Nobody gets to contact quicker than he does. And his style of play is just contagious. It's just absolutely contagious. And, you can see his leadership style. It starts with him. And I know Budda's not a real vocal guy, but there's a lot of different ways to lead. He does it by example. They can't afford to let him go. Or Jalen Thompson. I know Jalen didn't play last week. You got Danger, who knows, but I think both those guys in the back end are a pretty good tandem.
Yeah, good PBU from Rabbit. It was good to see him in the action. He played every snap. I know you've been a big fan of him since his Texas Tech days in his pre-draft there. But, Budda priority, it seems like, for the Cardinals. Let's go to the other side of the football. Another vet at an undervalued position in this league, running back James Conner entering a contract season as well. It seems like it's probably going to be pretty carbon copy as far as what you said about Budda. You can say about JC too.
Well, I don't think that the Cardinals could be where they're at this year without James Conner. Just his story alone, but just his belief and love of the game and the second opportunity he's got from, what the condition he had, back in college where, there was doubts that he could ever play the game. He just brings everything to an organization that you want. You got to have certain pillars in the building that just, can fetter out, the pros from the non-pros, from, the guys that don't take it serious to what you need to be committed. Budda and James Conner, those are the two guys that, in addition to Kyler, those are the two guys you lean on over everybody else. Kelvin Beachum to a degree. He's getting an opportunity now. But, there's certain guys that when they come out of the tunnel in Seattle next week and that 12th man is making all that noise, there's certain guys that you can lean on coming out of that tunnel. That they're going to put it all on the line. And the guys I just mentioned are going to do that.
Baldy, I know you've done really nice breakdowns of the Cardinals offensive line, but I want to focus on their left tackle, Paris Johnson Jr. We've been on the record. This rebuild started about 18 months ago. And they made some additions in free agency. Obviously, Gannon and Ossenford being hired was the focal point. But I do really believe like this change of culture happened when they took Paris Johnson Jr. 6th overall out of Ohio State. Like, where is he amongst some of the best young tackles, left tackles in the NFL to you?
Well, when you look at, left tackles, it always starts with Trent Williams, and he's earned that right to be that guy. But, the fact that, Paris, I don't believe he's missed a snap, so far in 2 years now. I think he's played every snap. The fact that he went from right tackle to left tackle, I would put Tristan Wirfs up there, I saw San Francisco, Tampa last week. I thought they were the two best left tackles in football. But, Paris is, and those guys have done it at the highest level. They've got Super Bowls, all that stuff. So, the postseason is where some of this stuff really gets, you really start making a name for yourself when you're going up against Nick Bosa in a playoff game. You're seeing some of the elites out there. But regardless, the consistency that he's playing with is remarkable. What happens is you're a right tackle and you play every snap at right tackle last year, and they'll tell you, okay, here we go. We're making this move. We're putting you to left tackle. I don't think he balked at it. I think he was prepared for it. But the reason why he should embrace it is he's got the ability. He's got the athletic ability. He's got the fast twitch. He's got the length. All the things you're looking for in that position, he's got. Now it's just a question of, okay, we just got to kind of reverse things a little bit from a year ago. And he's made the transition about as smooth as you can make.
Seems like Lamar Jackson's poised to win his third NFL MVP this season. The numbers are following along with wins for the Ravens. If they continue on, it's one of the top teams in the AFC. But with all that being said, Kyler Murray's had 3 eye-popping performances this season. Week 2 against the Rams, perfect, quarterback rating. What he did in Miami and leading the team back, and then this past week, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. 3 total touchdowns. He missed his first pass, Baldy, and then he proceeds to go 22 for 23. How do you evaluate K1's performance this year?
Well, always the quarterback position always starts with, ball security. Are they giving it to the other team? Like, they may be making, big plays, but are they taking care of the football? Right now, Kyler's got the 3 interceptions. I think he's fumbled 2 or 3 times, but for the most part, he's taking care of the football. He's breaking in a new receiving core, a rookie wide receiver, a second-year player in Wilson, different little Greg Dortch. But I think he's grown up. I think he's now mature. I think he now understands a little bit about what's involved in preparing every week. But, these last 3 weeks, I think at some point last week he completed 17 in a row, and he's making it look easy. The guy on the other side, the 40-year-old quarterback on the other side, nothing looked easy. Now, maybe that's a product of being 40, but he's making it look easy right now. And if you're an offensive lineman and Kyler's because it used to be they'd play the Patriots a couple of years ago and Belichick just keep him in the pocket. He can't win from the pocket. Well, he's winning from the pocket. Now he's getting out of the pocket when he does, and his eyes are down the field and he's making the throws. And then his last alternative right now is to run. It's his third choice. But you don't see the frenetic play from him. You see a real calmness to what he's doing. I think it kind of sets the tone for the team. Like, we expect to play at a high level. It starts with me. The offensive line's doing their job. We're running the ball well. Like, I just think everything about the development of him is now showing game day and on the field.
Baldy, where are you prepared to rank him in the NFL? Like, where do you think he falls as far as the NFL quarterbacks?
Well, I think right now you have to put him in the top 10. I don't, you always start with Mahomes and, there's, like Josh Allen and, you go through Joe Burrow and you could go through somebody, Lamar, obviously. But, however you want to rank, those guys are probably top 5, I just mentioned, just off the top of my head. Stafford's up there. Forget about what the stats say about Goff last week. He was really good. He threw a Hail Mary interception. He had the ball, knocked out of his hands for him. He's played at a high level. But, you get through the top 6 or 7, he's right there somewhere between 7 and 10. And, that list can change week to week, or if you're a fan or not a fan, whatever. They're pretty subjective. But it's kind of hard not to put Kyler in the top 10 right now. Is Brock Purdy in the top 10? Probably, but he hasn't been great this year. He hasn't been as good as Kyler. So, because he does give you an element of extending plays, but not like what Kyler can give you. And the fact that he's able to protect himself, slide, get down, get up, and playing every snap right now without even a hint of being nicked or injured at all.
I'm not going to ask you to rank Trey McBride, but you called him elite earlier this week. Doesn't have a receiving touchdown yet. Really, I want to say not through his own fault, but just circumstances. The Cardinals like to run the ball in the red zone. Like, it's obvious. He's got a rushing touchdown. But like you talk about, I think it's a short list of like George Kittle. You want to throw Travis Kelce in there. And then I got to assume you've got McBride like shortly after those guys. Is that fair?
Yeah. You might go Mark Andrews is certainly coming on right now in Baltimore. He's a factor. I don't want to leave anybody out right now, but I would say just his ability to run after the catch, his ability to get open, the way that he's able to, throw Sauce Gardner off his back, leap over a defender. You see the athletic ability and the strength. At the end of the day, tight ends have to catch touchdown passes. And so that's the next step is, can he be a big red zone threat the way Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson have connected over the last 5-6 years? Like that's the next step for him. In Kansas City right now, Kelce's been targeted 40 times in the last 3 games. No receiver in the NFL is getting as many targets as Travis Kelce. So, you look at Cade Otton, he's coming on in Tampa right now. He's becoming a really good player with the injuries to the wide receivers. That's the next step really for Trey is, to get into the end zone.
Final question, Baldy. We've been starting to look forward, previewing the final 7 games for this Cardinals team, and the schedule thins out. It was a gauntlet to start, played the likes of the Bills, the Lions, the upstart Commanders. Now it thins out. They've got a struggling Seattle team up next in week 12. They've got them twice. They've got the Patriots, the Panthers. Got the Niners getting back to full strength. McCaffrey's coming back. What's it going to take for this Cardinals to finish the job and maybe win that NFC West title?
Well, they're 2-0 in the division, and they got these division games coming up. And if you want to win the division, you got to win in the division. So I think it's going to come down to how they play in the division. They've gone to San Francisco. They've won. They've beaten the Rams. Rams are usually a second-half team. You're going to get their best shots. Everybody believes in the division right now that they can win the division. There's not a team, Seattle, the Rams, even though they didn't look good the other night, they didn't score a touchdown. I mean, I think every team believes they can win the division. So that's what it's going to come down to, is how they play in these division games. They kind of count for two, because if there's any sort of a tiebreaker, it's going to come down to head-to-head competition. That's going to be the first tiebreaker. So, you got these games at the end of the year, against the Rams and 49ers. It might very well come down to New Year's Eve and, the weekend, the final weekend of the year.
Baldy, who would have thought last year at this time the Cardinals had one win and we're waiting for Kyler Murray to return after the bye. Here we are ahead of the bye week, 6-4 for the Arizona Cardinals. It's been a pleasure. And hopefully we're talking maybe some postseason football here with you on PHNX Cardinals.
Well, I hope so too. I don't believe this is a fluke. I don't believe they're winning these games the way they're winning, because there's some teams that will play down to their competition. They never let the Jets get into the game. They never let Chicago get into the game. That's what good teams do. They play their brand of football and let them try to catch up, and they're not allowing them to do that right now. And so credit the job of this coaching staff and what Monty's done so far.
Baldy's the best. Check him out, NFL Network, All-City NFL analyst, Brian Baldinger. Thank you so much, Baldy.
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
you.
Yep, my pleasure. Talk to you next week.
We all silly like the mayor.